They call us the hammer of the Emperor. It is a poetic lie. A hammer is a singular, purposeful tool, swung by a singular, purposeful hand. We are not a hammer. We are the falling rockslide. We are the rising tide. We are the grinding, inexorable weight of numbers given rifles and a direction. There is no artistry in us, no genius, only volume, persistence, and the cold calculus of attrition. I am Commissar-General Isolde Vayne. My uniform is black, my gaze is iron, and my purpose is to ensure the tide does not recede. I do not inspire men to heroism. Heroism is an inefficient and statistically anomalous resource. I inspire men to stand, and when standing fails, I inspire them to die in the correct formation. My weapon is not the bolt pistol at my hip. It is the example, the public, precise application of consequence. To understand the Astra Militarum, you must first understand its fuel, the Imperial citizen. Take a world like Krieg, a death world of radioactive mud and perpetual self-flagellating war. Its entire culture is a factory for penitent soldiers. They are born in tubes, raised in trenches, and live only to die for an atonement that was completed 10,000 years ago. They are the ideal, emotionless, relentless, utterly expendable. They are not human, they are human-shaped ammunition. Then take a world like Valhalla, a frozen hell where the weak died millennia ago. They are stoic, hardy, masters of winter warfare. They fight with a grim, practical determination. They believe in the Emperor, but they believe in their squad and their furs more. They are slightly less efficient than the Krieg, because they still retain a shred of self-preservation for the sake of their brothers. It is a manageable flaw. My own world, Necromunda, produces a different kind of soldier. Hive scum, gangers, enforcers. We are brutal, cunning, and survive on instinct. We understand verticality, close quarters, brutality, and the economy of violence. We are unreliable, prone to looting and insubordination. But in the right war, a hive city clearance, a tunnel fight, we are viciously effective. We are the teeth in the rockslide. And there are 1,000 other worlds. The jungle fighters of Catachan, who are more predator than soldier. The desert nomads of Tallarn, masters of mobile armor. The pious zealots of Savlar, who fight for the next chem hit. Each is a different grade of fuel, burned in the same engine. The genius, the terrible, monstrous genius of the Astra Militarum, is its logistical homogenization. It does not matter if you are a penitent from Krieg or a hive-ganger from Necromunda. You will wear the same standard issue flak armor too thin. You will carry the same standard issue lasgun, reliable, weak, easy to produce by the billion. You will eat the same nutrient paste vial, sustaining. Your cultural peculiarities are sanded down in the vast, grinding mills of the departmental munitorum. You become a standardized unit, a line item on a slate. Your general may be a brilliant aristocratic strategist from a night world, or a political appointee who bought his commission. It matters little. His battle plans are filtered through layers of dogma, bureaucracy, and the sheer unmanageable scale of the war. A brilliant maneuver requires precision, timing, and communication. These are luxuries. What we have is mass. Our doctrine is simple. It is written in the infantryman's uplifting primer, a book of such flagrant propaganda and oversimplification. It would be hilarious if it weren't the only text billions of men will ever read. The doctrine is, find the enemy, fix the enemy in place with your bodies. Call down artillery until the enemy, or your position, ceases to exist. There are variations, of course. The armored regiments provide the steel, Leman Russ battle tanks, grinding forward, their cannons roaring. They are mobile bastions of morale. Where they go, the infantry follows, sheltering in their metaphorical shadow. But even the tanks are blunt instruments. Their commanders are taught to advance, to absorb fire, to return fire. Finesse is for the superhuman and the damned. The artillery corps is the true heart of our power. The god of the Astra Militarum is not the emperor on his throne. It is the basilisk, the earthshaker cannon. It speaks and hills vanish. It whispers and fortresses tremble. We do not defeat the enemy with bravery. We bury them under a mountain of high explosive shells fired from 20 kilometers away. The infantry's job is simply to tell the artillery where to dig. And then there is my branch, the commissariat. We are the immune system. Our role is to identify and excise the pathogens of cowardice, heresy, and defeatism. The common soldier believes we are here to shoot them if they run. That is a child's understanding. We are here to prevent the need to run. A soldier's fear is a tangible resource. Left unchecked, it becomes panic, rout, and systemic collapse. My presence, my crisp black uniform amidst the drab green and brown, crystallizes that fear. It gives it a direction. Forward, toward the enemy, is terrifying. But backward, toward me, is certain, immediate death. I channel the fear. I make it useful. I do not enjoy executions. They are a failure of my primary duty, morale management. But they are necessary punctuation in the narrative of war. They remind every man watching that the story only has one permissible ending: death in the service of the Imperium. A death by my bolt pistol has no honor, no glory, no pension for your next of kin. It is a deleted sentence. I have served for 47 years. I have witnessed the true face of our hammer. I was on Tyrok fields during the Third War for Armageddon and Orkwog. The size of a continent was crashing against our lines. We were not soldiers. We were speed bumps. The strategy was pure Astra Militarum, a layered defense, kilometers deep. Each trench line, each fortified town, was designed to bleed the orcs, to slow them, to buy time for the Space Marines to strike at the head of the beast. My regiment, the Necromundan 111th, held the town of Hellsridge Chasm. We held for 3 weeks. We did not hold it intact. We held it as a concept. Each street was a battle, each building a tomb. When the order finally came to fall back, of the 2,000 men and women I started with, 300 could walk. We had not won, we had lasted. And in that war, lasting was the victory. I have seen the other side of the coin. On the world of Graildark, we were ordered to pacify a secessionist movement. Not chaos, not Xenos, just human beings who no longer wished to pay the Imperial tithe. They were farmers, miners, clerks. They had a few stolen lasguns and righteous fury. We were the 5th Cronus Armored, with full artillery support. The order was pacification by example. We leveled their capital, not to win a battle. There was no battle. We did it to recalibrate the cost-benefit analysis of every other world in the sector. The message was not the Imperium is just. The message was, the Imperium is inevitable. Resistance is not heroic, it is a math error. Your lives are a variable we are willing to set to 0. That is the true power of the Guard, not just to win wars, but to make the very idea of war against us seem not just futile, but insane. We are not heroes. We are statistics. The Departmentum Unitorum does not track individual acts of valor. It tracks ammunition expenditure, casualty rates, ground taken or held. A guardsman who single-handedly destroys an enemy tank with a melter bomb is recorded as 1-1 enemy armor unit destroyed, 1-1 melter charge expended, 1-1 guardsman, Kea. His name might live on in his regiment's folklore, but to the Imperium, he is a successful transaction, a melter charge for a tank, a good trade. This is our strength and our damnation. We are immune to despair on an individual level because individual despair is irrelevant. The loss of a regiment is a setback. The loss of an army group is a strategic pivot. The loss of a planet is a recalculation. The machine grinds on, fed by the endless teeming billions of humanity. They say in the grim darkness of the far future there is only war. They are wrong. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only the Astra Militarum. And we are not the light in the darkness. We are the darkness itself, armed and uniformed, marching forward one standard-issue bootstep at a time, until there is nothing left to march over. I am not Commissar-General Vayne. I am Lieutenant Armin Tychon, 7th Tallarn Armored Regiment, commander of the Leman Russ battle tank Sandblaster. My world is not mud or hive. It is dust, heat haze, and the throaty roar of a multi-fuel engine. Commissar Vayne sees us as the steel. She is half right. We are not just metal. We are mobile geography. We are the hill the infantry rallies to. We are the canyon that channels the enemy's advance into a killing field. We are a moving, breathing piece of terrain that shoots back. The guard is not just lasguns and corpses. It is this: 72 tons of plasteel and anger grinding across the desert at 30 kilometers per hour. My crew gunnery, Sergeant Rail, Driver Vorik, Loader Krenar, more my family than any bloodkin on top. We share the same sweat, the same deafness from the cannon's roar, the same intimate knowledge of every squeal and groan of our machine. We pray to the machine god, yes, but our true faith is in maintenance schedules and clean fuel lines. Our war is different from the infantry's. Theirs is a war of meters, of mud, of immediate, screaming terror. Ours is a war of sightlines and ballistics. My world is viewed through the magnified crosshairs of a battle cannon sight. An enemy is not a man. It is a target profile. A traitor space marine is a high-value, heavily armored infantry. An orc buggy is a fast attack, light armor. We reduce the galaxy's horrors to tactical designations and estimated armor penetration values. The power of the Astra Militarum from my cupola is projection. We bring the firepower of a small fortress anywhere the ground can support our weight. We are a symbol. When the infantry sees our silhouettes on the ridge, their backs straighten. When the enemy sees us, they must stop, reassess, bring up heavier guns. We change the algebra of the battlefield just by existing. But we are not invincible. We are vulnerable. Every crewman knows this. A lucky Laskanen shot to the treads, and we become a stationary bunker. A melter-gen at close range, and our armor is butter. A demon engine with claws that can peel us open like a ration tin. Our life is a constant calculation of risk versus reward. We are a prized piece on the board, but we are still a piece that can be taken. I remember the Battle of the Iron Canyons on Forge World Gamma Lambda 7. We were supporting a death corps. Siege regiment against a Dark Mechanicum holdout. The Kriegsmen advanced in perfect, silent lines into hellish defensive fire. My role was counter-battery. We would identify enemy artillery emplacements, heretical basilisks that fired shells of molten brass, silence them. We found our target, a corrupted Earthshaker platform, its barrels twisted into screaming faces. We fired, a direct hit. It exploded in a shower of shrapnel and demonic fire. A cheer started in my throat. Then, Auspex alarms screamed. From a hidden ravine, a hell-forged predator emerged, its hull covered in fleshy, weeping sensors. It had been waiting for us to reveal our position. Driver, reverse. Hard left, I barked. Vorik threw the sandblaster, into a grinding turn. The Predator's turret swiveled. It fired, not a shell, a beam of corrupt energy that turned the sand beneath us into glass and the air into poison. It missed our hull by meters. The heat bloom scorched our paint and cooked the external Vox array. Rail was already shouting, "Target acquired. Loader, special round. Crack, now." Kren, muscle straining, hauled a massive crack shell into the breach. Up. Fire. The sandblaster rocked on its suspension. The shell streaked across the canyon and struck the Predator's frontal glacis. It did not penetrate. It sparked against wards of glowing runes. The Predator fired again. This beam clipped our front left track, shearing it clean off. We lurched, grinding to a halt, listing to one side like a wounded beast. We were crippled. The Predator began to advance, savoring its kill. Then, the unexpected variable. A squad of Krieg engineers, who had been mining a nearby ridge, saw our plight. They did not run to our aid. They did not scream a battle cry. In perfect, silent unison, they turned their Helber demolition charges away from the rock face and aimed them at the advancing Predator. They waited until it was in optimal range. They detonated. The blast was not aimed to destroy the tank. It was aimed to disorient. A wall of dust, sound, and concussion washed over the Predator, blinding its senses, stunning the demon within. For 10 seconds, it was vulnerable. 10 seconds was all Rail needed. Loader, last armor-piercing round. Now. Kren, bleeding from a cut on his forehead, slammed the final, precious shell home. Fire. The shot was perfect. It struck the Predator's side armor, where the wards were faintest, and punched through into its reactor. The demon engine died not with an explosion, but with a sickly, implosive gulp, as if reality itself sucked the corruption away, leaving only a hollow, melting shell. The Kriegsmen did not look at us. They simply turned back to their mining, as if they had swatted a fly. They had saved a multi-million throne asset and 3 lives because it was the tactically sound thing to do, not out of compassion, out of logical efficiency. That is the Astra Militarum at its coldest and its most potent. We are a machine of interlocking, disposable parts. Sometimes the gears are flesh, sometimes they are steel. But the machine only cares that the function is performed. They call me Echo. I have no rank. I had a name, once, on a world swallowed by the Tyranids. It does not matter. I am a Vox-Operator, 22nd Catachan Jungle Fighters, the Ghosts. My war is not fought with a lasgon. It is fought with whispers. Commissar Vayne speaks of fear as a resource to be managed. Lieutenant Tychon speaks of steel and projection. My world is the space between, the static on the Vox, the coded click of a microbead, the silent hand signals in the dripping dark. The power of the Astra Militarum in my green hell is knowledge. Not grand strategy, but immediate, lethal, intimate knowledge. Where the enemy is, how many, what they smell like, where they have set their tripwires. We are the eyes and ears of the rockslide. Without us, the hammer swings blind. My weapon is the long loss, a sniper rifle. But my true tool is the Voxcaster on my back. I climb trees so tall they pierce the cloud layer. I lie in pools of water for days, breathing through a hollow reed. I watch, I listen, and I whisper. I whisper to Captain Stoneface Corder, telling him the Orc patrol is turning east, away from our ambush. I whisper to the mortar team, giving them the exact coordinates of a looter boy's nest. I whisper the Orkler for the demo team to plant their crack charges on the Gargant's ankle joint. My words kill more surely than any bolt. I am a force multiplier. One whisper can save a platoon, doom a warband, turn the tide in a sector, and I am utterly, terrifyingly vulnerable. If they find me, they hear my transmission, see the glint of my scope, I am dead. I have no squad to protect me. I have only my silence and my camouflage. I have seen the hammer from my perch. I watched an entire company of Valhallans march into a Tyranid spore field because their Vox-Operator was dead and their commander didn't know the signs. They melted from the inside out, consumed by microscopic life eaters, their final screams lost in the fungal quiet. I reported it. There was nothing to be done. The rockslide had found a patch of quicksand, and a part of it sank without a sound. I have also seen it work. On Haraxis, I was embedded with a Mordian Iron Guard regiment during a Chaos Cult uprising. The Mordians are rigid. They fight in perfect lines, brilliant red coats, making them perfect targets. They believe discipline is a physical shield. It is not. The cultists used warp sorcery to cloud their minds, to make them see brothers as demons. The Mordian lines began to falter, to fire upon themselves. Their discipline was turning against them. But they had a Voxnet, and I had a vantage point. I could see the truth. I could see the cultist psychers on a distant balcony, conducting their symphonies of lies. I did not whisper to the Mordian commander. He was too far gone. I whispered to the one artillery spotter who still had his wits, a young lieutenant hiding in a basement, crying with fear. Grid reference Sigma Ninkapa. The balcony, the musicians, silence them. He relayed the coordinates, his voice a broken sob. 10 seconds later, the world ended for that city block. A basilisk shell, guided by a terrified boy's voice and my eyes in the sky, turned the psychers into pink mist. The illusion broke. The Mordians, suddenly seeing clearly again, reformed their lines with a shocked, desperate precision and slaughtered the now exposed cultists. The hammer is not smart. It is not fast. But it is deafeningly loud. Sometimes, you just need the right person to tell it where to hit. We, the little cogs, the Vox-Ops, the spotters, the engineers, the medics, we are the aiming mechanism. Without us, the hammer is just a club, flailing in the dark, breaking things at random. With us, it becomes a weapon. My name is Lord General Militant Erasmus Thule, and my war is over. They gave me a ceremonial cane, a chest full of tarnished metals, and a quiet plot of land on a peaceful agri-world. My hands, which once held data slates, detailing the movements of army groups, now tremble as they prune roses. The silence here is the loudest sound I have ever heard. From my porch, watching the sun set on fields of grain, I orchestrate no battles. I merely review the one battle that has never ended, the battle for the soul of the force I served. Commissar Vayne sees the engine of control. Lieutenant Tychon sees the mobile fortress. The sniper Echo sees the guiding eye. They are all correct. But they see the tree, not the forest. I have seen the forest. I have been the man who ordered the forest to burn. The Astra Militarum is not a military. It is a psychological operation conducted on a galactic scale, with humanity itself as both the operator and the subject. Think of it. We take a young man from a feudal world who believes in wood spirits. We give him a lasgun and tell him his spirit now lives in the Emperor, and that spirit demands he travel to a metal world and kill green-skinned monsters. And he does it. We take a hive ganger who has known nothing but gang loyalty and brutal survival. We give him a uniform and a squad, and he learns to die for people he would have robbed a year before. We take a penitent from Krieg, who believes he is already dead, and we give his death a purpose so grand it becomes a perverse form of life. This is not training. This is alchemy. We transmute the base ore of humanity, its fear, its tribalism, its need for purpose, into the gold of unwavering, expendable soldiery. The Departamento Munitorum is not a logistics office. It is the greatest faith-building institution in history, surpassing even the ecclesiarchy. Its liturgy is the drill manual. Its sacrament is the artillery barrage. The power of the guard lies in this manufactured certainty. In a universe of chaos, where reality is fluid and truth is a lie, we offer a simple, brutal, binary truth. The Emperor commands. We obey. The enemy is before us. They die. There is no ambiguity, no existential doubt. In the trenches, philosophy is a luxury that gets you killed. The imperial truth for a guardsman is not a philosophical stance. It is a survival mechanism. To doubt is to fracture. To fracture is to die, and worse, to cause your brothers to die. I have commanded men from 100 worlds to their deaths. I did not do so lightly. Each order was a calculation, a cold, horrifying calculus where the variable was human lives and the constant was strategic necessity. To take that hill might cost 2 regiments, but not taking it could cost the planet and the system beyond. So you write the order, you sign your name, and you listen to the distant thunder, knowing each rumble is a company, a battalion, a friend, turning to ash and data on a slate. This is the true, unspoken horror of high command. You are not a hero. You are an actuary of apocalypse. Your weapon is not a sword, but a spreadsheet of slaughter. You trade in lives the way a merchant trades in coin, seeking the most efficient expenditure to purchase victory, or failing that, a stalemate, or failing that, a delay. And the most terrible thing, it works. It works because humanity is, in its terrifying, glorious breadth, numerous. For every world burned, 10 more are tithed. For every regiment slaughtered, 20 are raised. The Imperium is not an empire of quality. It is an empire of quantifiable sacrifice. The Astra Militarum is the engine of that sacrifice. We are the proof that the Imperium can lose every battle except the last one, because it can always afford to raise another army. But what does it cost, this machine? It costs the very thing it purports to defend, our humanity. The perfect guardsman is the Kriegsman, a being stripped of fear, of hope, of individuality, of everything but the desire to atone through death. He is the endpoint of our evolution. He is what the machine, if it could, would make of every one of us, a perfect, self-replicating, morally inert component. Is that salvation, or is it a fate worse than any chaos corruption? To become not a monster of passion, but a ghost of duty. I sit on my porch. The roses are beautiful. Their thorns remind me of barbed wire. The scent of loam reminds me of grave dirt. In the quiet, I hear the echoes of 1 billion vox channels, the screams of orders given, the silent prayers of men about to charge. We call ourselves the hammer. But a hammer does not think. It does not feel. It only strikes. Perhaps that is what the Emperor needed. Not thinking, feeling men, but a tool, a blunt, reliable, infinite tool. And we have perfected it. We are not the heroes of this dark age. We are the background noise, the endless, grinding percussion to the symphony of gods and monsters. We will never be remembered like the Space Marines. Our names will not be etched on glorious banners. They will be etched on mass-produced dog tags, piled in mountains, recycled for the next generation of soldiers. But when the last Space Marine falls, and the last Demon Prince is banished, and the last Xenos Empire shatters against the walls of the Imperium, who will be left standing in the mud, lasgun held together with tape and faith, ready to do it all over again? We will. The Astra Militarum is not the soul of humanity. It is the body, the vast, bleeding, stubborn, unkillable body that continues to march long after the soul has forgotten why. And in a galaxy that devours souls, perhaps that is the only victory left to us, to endure, to be the thing that even the darkness cannot fully consume, to be the tide that always, always comes back in. I am Lord General Militant Erasmus Thule. My war is over, but the hammer is eternal.